Howdy, howdy. Welcome back. It's yet another Workshop Wednesday. This time, our topic is what's new because it's the first Wednesday of the month, and we always do what's news when we do that. It's really covering the new features and updates released to the Google suite of products and sometimes some others. In this case, we're looking back on January 2021, the first month of the year, to see what the latest and greatest was. Before we get too far into this, welcome. My name is Chris Mercer. I do go by Mercer, and I'm the co-founder of MeasurementMarketing.io. All my friends call me Mercer. You should as well. Maybe you found us through our podcast and talks that we're constantly doing. Maybe through some of the platforms we share some of our content, like CXL Institute, Digital Marketer, Social Media Examiner, Measure Summit, or others. Maybe you are already a member from MeasurementMarketing.io, whether it's our complimentary Toolbox membership, where you can get all those free tools, or you're already a member of the Measurement Marketing Academy and working with instructors and everything back there. However you found us, welcome to Workshop Wednesday. It's our job to help people like you learn how to use tools like this. And really, we always cover the framework whenever we do this, the Measurement Marketing Framework. Remember, 5 key steps. First is planning. You got to know what questions you're asking, what information you need to get those answers, what actions will you take based upon the answers you get. That's all the planning process. Then it's the build out. Now, of course, some of what we're going to talk about today will help you with this because you obviously want to keep up to date on what's possible when it comes to building some stuff. So we'll talk about some of that. Reporting is where you actually start displaying the answers, whether sometimes it's a built-in report as in Google Analytics 4 or something like Data Studio. You can actually get your answers. And once you have the answers, you can then start to forecast what your near future will look like. And then based on those forecasts, you measure against what your forecasts are against actual traffic. And that is how we optimize to know what steps are working, what steps aren't. And that way you can ask more intelligent questions to optimize and get the results you are actually expecting to get. Now, with all of these trainings, just one thing, one new idea. This particular one, I'm going to admit, it was a slow start for Team Google. However, there were some important changes. There was one very important change that you want to pay attention to. So, but there's just a few things on this one to hang on to. So grab one new thing, one new point to practice. And I can almost guarantee what yours is going to be. But I digress. Let's go ahead and just jump into it. That way you can see it. What's new? New features and updates released January 2021. Now, of course, we're just going to dive right in like we always do with these workshops. And we're going to pull up Tag Manager. Now, Tag Manager was the tiniest of changes, but also a very good change that I wanted to leak out there for everybody. So this is something super technical. So don't worry if you're not. I'm not. I'll just tell you right now, I'm definitely not. But I look at stuff like this. This is a new thing that was released to the API. They did this for both server-side GTM as well as for custom templates in GTM. So this just means they're updating the API. They're continuing to update the API. If you're a technical person, you probably already know about this if you're doing a lot of custom templates and things like that, or if your developers are. However, the reason this is important for you as kind of a marketer is to understand that this API is the ability of Google Tag Manager to do things, essentially, when it comes to custom templates and things like that. So there are times where maybe you wanted to do something with a developer, but they couldn't do it because the API didn't allow them to do it. Just know that the API is expanding. They just recently released this one, so you can go through and break the URL down in some pieces. That's probably going to help some people achieve some things that they couldn't otherwise do. So this one's a little technical. It is a little esoteric. I get it's a little hard to hang your hat on, but it is important to understand the API is changing. So if you are working with anybody who's working with the Tag Manager API, either for server-side or for custom templates, then make sure that they are aware of that. Now, the next thing is a little more closer to home, something that you might be using, which is, hopefully, Data Studio. So I'm going to go ahead and bring some of these up. We have some of our little widgets we play with. The big thing with Data Studio was this, and this is in the GA4 connector. So this is a quick little table we created with GA4. The thing with GA4 is, of course, it's beta-ish. Like, it's definitely the new hotness when it comes to analytics, but it's not ready for prime time yet. You should not be trying to use this to really run your companies yet. You certainly will, but it is just not ready yet. For example, one of the updates from January 2021, right, which is just as of this recording, within the last 30 days or so, and really I believe this was in the last few days, is the fact that they released traffic source information. So GA4 now connects into Data Studio with traffic source information, including session source, medium source. You can do Google Ads traffic, right? That's through there, assuming that you have it in there, right? You have to do all of that. But you can see all this different Google Ads stuff that's coming through. So these weren't available before, they now are. So if you jumped into Data Studio, you tried to do a little source report, couldn't quite figure out how to get it, just know that it is back there now. If you have already connected your account to Data Studio, you just have to refresh the fields. So remember to do that. We're going to click in here, and then you go down here where it says refresh fields, and you would have the new updated fields that are now available from GA4 into your Data Studio account. So know that that is now there. Again, kind of a tiny change. Data Studio didn't do a whole lot. There was another one that was kind of a weird little technical thing where, for those of you that ever do case statements, when you go to create a field, you might write up a case statement or something. Instead of doing case and then typing in a whole formula, you can now do something called Boolean. So it's like, I think the example they did was like, hey, if revenue is greater than forecast, or whatever the things were that you typed in, then it returns true or false. So again, this is a little more esoteric, only if you're really doing a lot of complicated create field stuff. But if you are, you can now do things like that. You can compare two things and it'll return true or false automatically, whereas before you had to use a case statement. Again, a little technical on that one, so we won't go too far down that rabbit hole. Those of you who do a lot of create fields, that is something that's going to be useful. For the rest of us, and I include myself in this because I don't do a lot of those personally. My team does for sure, but I personally don't. But I will want to know that the information is now available in GA4, so I can better direct my team to get me reports that I need from GA4, because that's kind of what our goal would be, is by the end of this year, by the end of 2021, our personal goal as a company is to be running off of GA4. Hopefully it'll be ready. Again, it's not. Even if it was set up perfectly, it's just not. There's not enough stuff back there. However, we expect by the end of 2021 that it will be, and we have the entire year to practice along with you. All right, next up, and this is where we're going to end it. Speaking of finally being able to practice GA4, huge news. This is a Google Analytics 4 account. However, it is not my Google Analytics 4 account. It is not a client's Google Analytics 4 account. It is, in fact, the Google Analytics 4 demo accounts. And they have finally released these. So there are two that you have access to. Now, if you already have the demo account, you already have these back there. If you don't, I'm going to show you how to get it in just a second. It is completely free to connect with, and it gives you read, analyze access. So you'll have the Universal Analytics one. You'll have the GA4 one. This is for the Google Merchandise Store coming in. And then they've actually have this game called Flood It, which is evidently a game on Android. I don't have it, but I hear that it's good. And this is the Flood It data coming into yet another GA4. Now, the reason they have two different ones here is because this one has the games reporting in it, and this one just has the regular reports in it. So you can play with both, which is really nice. So this is a huge update, because if you have not connected to if you didn't even know there was a Google Analytics 4 demo account, for sure, I'll show you how to get that. But B, if you have had it and you've checked back there, as I have multiple times, kind of going, it's not there yet, it's not there yet, it's not there yet. Well, now it's there. That was a big release they did in January. So again, relatively recently. That was over the last couple of weeks, I believe, when they let that come through. So now you can come through there and you can see a Google Analytics 4 account with bells and whistles. And what I mean by that is not necessarily the perfect setup. Google's not really famous for setting up their accounts perfectly, but it is an account with a bunch of data. So you can play with things. You can see how the reports look with a lot of data populated. You can get some ideas as to maybe what they are doing. Eventually you'll use it as a way to see kind of some things you may want to take advantage of, or some things that you might want to avoid when it comes to this stuff. But it is just, again, a really good way to play around, because they're filling it with a ton of data. And if you're like my site, I don't have a ton of traffic, so I kind of get what I get with Google Analytics 4. This has got more traffic, so it's a little meatier to play around with. So just want to make sure that you knew about that as well. So that's the Google Analytics 4 demo account. Now, to get there, if you do not have that yet, just go to measure.tips/GA4, GA demo. It's just GA demo, measure.tips/GA demo. We maintain this link. It actually goes to the support doc in Google, but whenever they change this, we just change that measure.tips/GA demo. So that's why I always remember that one, because this is a lot harder to remember. So measure.tips/GA demo will take you here. All you need to do is click where it says access demo account. And of course, you can always remove yourself later. You just remove yourself like you would a regular Google Analytics account if you want. But it does go into details as far as where it comes from. They've updated it to talk about kind of where the information comes from and all that fun stuff. So all of it's in there. You can see, talking about the flooded property and what that is and everything else in there. So pretty cool. So anyway, just want to make sure you knew about that. That is the biggest change when it comes to Google Analytics 4 in this case, is that demo account, so you can start playing with it. And then this is your chance. If you have not set up a GA4 account, you've been like, well, I don't want to get into the setup yet. I still think you should. Still should do baby steps and get involved in that. Don't worry about being perfect with it. Just get good enough to get going. You can come back and make it better later on. But even if you haven't yet done that, now you really have no excuse. Time to jump into this thing and start looking at it and seeing what's back there. Again, do not think this is the perfect setup. It probably is not. There probably are opportunities where they can improve their setup, but that's not what this account is for. It's not to show you the perfect example of a Google Analytics account. It's to show you GA4 with a ton of data. So you can come through here and start playing with it, and you can see all the reports populating and what they would look like. Based upon actual traffic coming through. So really great practice account. Again, you're not gonna be able to edit anything. It's read only, read and analyze access only. So take that for what it's worth, but you can still set up some analysis reports. You can do some really cool things with the GA4 demo account. That, I'll tell you, was my one thing. All right. What was your one thing? I think I bet money it'd be that GA4 demo account. For some of you, maybe it's the Data Studio stuff where they can't get through. For those that are really technical, maybe it was that API call. That some cool API stuff is going on. But either way, at least you got one new thing, one new concept, one new idea. All right. The next Workshop Wednesday is coming up, sending custom events to Google Analytics 4 using Google Tag Manager. Now, if you have not subscribed yet, be sure that you do that. That's the only way to make sure that you get all these videos coming through. So make sure that you do that. Of course, if you have subscribed, you will be notified as we go live, and we'll have all the information there for you. The Measurement Marketing Toolbox is another way that you can get these. Just go to Workshop Wednesday. You get Workshop Wednesday, the most recent workshop that's always back there. You get a ton of measurement tools that are all for our members. They are completely free, our way of giving back to the community. In order to get that, just go to measure.tip/WW, and that will take you there. Finally, if you are not yet a member of the Measurement Marketing Academy, be sure to take a look at that. It's measure.tip/get-academy. I will briefly give you a very quick tour so you can see what's back there. When you come in, you of course see your members dashboard. You'll see the win courses. These are all the different courses. We do these by date, so you have them organized by date, also by topic. So you can see all the Google Analytics courses we have. They tend to be fairly bite-sized. The idea is that you're just focused on learning Google Analytics setup, or learning the basics of Google Analytics, or learning how to go beyond the basics, etc. Same with Tag Manager. You can see the Tag Manager courses we have back there. And yes, we have Google Analytics 4 courses as well. And then you've got in the dashboards and reporting, this is where the Data Studio courses are, but also things like understanding funnel tracking, how to really know traffic attribution, learn what cost per acquisition is, what numbers should you be tracking, all of that sort of stuff that's back here. And that leads us into the strategy courses. So whether it's building a measurement plan, learning how to optimize using Search Console, learning how to forecast your revenue results, using Google Optimize as a platform, learning if you have a Shopify store, you have the Shopify information, and some other things as well. So lots of different courses that are back there. New courses are announced typically every 4 to 6 weeks. We have a new course back there that gets added, either a new one that's back there or one that is updated. So it's all up there for our members. But that's just the courses. We also have the workshops. Now, of course, you'll always have Workshop Wednesday, which is the thing that you're watching now. However, we also have other workshops that are all back here. These are our student editions. They've been edited down and have little effects, make them easier to get through. And there's over 200 of these. These are separate from the Win courses. This is not one of those platforms where you're coming in to watch every single video we have. You just won't make it through. There's way too much content. It's not for that. It's a just-in-time learning platform. So this is where you can come in, you can type in whatever the thing is that you're looking for. You'll see workshops that match that, and then you can watch those specific workshops. So if it's a topic that's just not big enough for a course, but we wanted to have a specific workshop for it, that's where it'll be. So a lot of the customized and specialized segments will be in there. And you can also see these broken down by topic. So if you want to catch up on what's new, all the latest updates and changes, or the stuff that are just some getting started topics to make sure you've got the updates, maybe some beyond basic stuff, it's a really great way to keep your skills sharp. However, that said, you might have questions as you go through, and that is why we have Winner Circle. This is our group and community back here, so you can interact with others. The benefit of the community, the Winner Circle community, is that some people, while we are very good at when it comes to measurement, we're maybe not so good when it comes to SEO or paid traffic or content marketing or something like that, but our members are. So members start working with other members back there and start helping each other out because they all speak measurement marketing as a language. And so it's just a really great way for you to maybe get some help from other people who specialize in skills that you don't have, or for you to share your skills with others who need them. Finally, there is Ask an Instructor support. It's my favorite feature. This is where most of the action happens in the members area. It's kind of behind the scenes, but this is where it is, where members will actually ask questions of instructors because you're going to have these questions. I know you're going to have these questions. I would want to be able to ask somebody if I was trying to learn something. And so that's what Ask an Instructor is all about. So you can put in here your question, send over videos and screenshots, kind of show us what's going on, whether it's a strategy style question or an implementation style question, it really doesn't matter. Our instructors will typically send back videos and screenshots to you personally to get unstuck and on the way. Typically answers within hours, right? So you don't have to wait days and days for an answer. But during normal business hours, it's typically within hours. So you can get unstuck and on the way. Again, ask instructor support. It is a whole other level to the academy. It's literally like having a consultant on call. That said, that's not all. There's still the Toolbox. The Toolbox is where we put all the features, the different resources that we've got access to here. So we've kind of scoured the web for a ton of stuff that we use and recommend, and so we put those in there. We've also developed tools that we thought needed to be used for measurement marketers. And so we have all of these member tools that are back here just for you as a measurement marketer. So you have access to all of those as well. So with that, that is the Academy. Again, if you want to find more information about that, measure.tips/getacademy will take you to that page so you can learn more about that. With that, we'll go ahead and bring this one officially to a close. This has been What's New? New features and updates released January 2021. Thanks again for watching this workshop, and we will see you on the next one. Take care.